Alrighty, so we're going to get started on the drawing, and I've got this beautiful rainy day scene, and I want to simplify this down to basic shapes. And first thing I want to do is divide this paper up. Now, round about the center of the page, I would say, is where this building in the background finishes off. Probably a little bit further down, not just exactly halfway, but slightly further than halfway. So I can just go ahead and draw a little guiding line, as you can see, like that. Okay, across the sheet of paper, and it doesn't have to be perfect, just get it in, and you can always readjust later. It's not set in stone. So now what we'll do is I'm going to have a look roughly at where this building in the back begins, and I think we can safely say it's about a little bit to the center left. So we're going to divide the page in half like this again. Okay, so put the center point of the page and then just add a little bit here, a little mark here. So there's the center here, and then marked here. Okay, so that's about where I'd say this building in the background finishes off, and I can go ahead and start penciling in some small details, but again, I don't want to add in too much here just yet. Just getting started to get a hang of where everything is. One of the things you want to keep in mind as well is to keep a bit of space up the top. You don't want these buildings to take up too much room. Okay, and yeah, sort of between the top of the page and the top of this building, you want there to be a bit of sky there peeking through the background. You know, over here you can see some background buildings like that. Just a simple background building. Look how light I'm going. You can see this building to the left really start to come in on a sharp sort of angle. You see a bit of the rooftop like that, but it comes in roughly like this. Then it comes down. Let's have a look. Comes down like that, and we might extend this one out a bit further, like that. That building. Got bits and pieces of this larger building there, the pillar. Okay, I'm not concerned of the little details, just trying to get in a basic sketch of these buildings, mainly a silhouette of these buildings. It's an interesting sort of building here in the center as well. I'm just trying to get this shape in kind of the side of that building like that. You've got this little billboard there, which I'm not going to emphasize too much. Okay, there it comes down. We've got a bit of this side of the building running off to the right hand side. Okay, and this whole block just disappears off to the distance like that. And over here we've got a large building just coming up and touching the sky like that. Okay, and there we go. We've got bits and pieces. Here is the little bottom part of the building there, and it just carries on all the way down like that. Little bits and pieces of the building. You've got some poles and pillars and things like that. Okay, so we've got a general indication of these buildings here in the background. I'm going to go ahead and start penciling in this side of the building a bit more obviously like this. Okay, and following the perspective as well. Okay, this can be the side of the building like that. Alright. And we've got another one just coming in here in front. Doesn't matter, not a huge deal. I think the big thing is just getting in some of these figures, and especially these two here, which are walking. You've got the head here, okay, of one of the figures, and I'm going to put in this kind of rain jacket. They're kind of puffier sort of jackets, you can see, like that. It pops out the bottom, kind of like a triangular shape, like that. Lady there, and you can see the two little legs just sort of sticking out at the base, like that. Okay, legs there sticking out of the base, and I'll connect this up like that, and just have a little indication of this kind of a reflection here in the ground. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just something like that. I want to just use that to guide my way forwards later. Here's another one there. Uh, I think I've actually done the legs a little too, tiny bit too long there, so I'm gonna let's just redo that a bit like this. Okay, this looks a bit better. Okay, there, bit of that shadow. Good. A lot of this we're gonna have to make sense of it later. Okay. These are roughly around the same height, around there. So I just want that reflection to come off nicely. Okay, there we are. And we've got a few bits and pieces, but we could put in, for example, an umbrella here. No, it's not there actually, but I can just make one up and get the umbrella stem coming down. Maybe there's an umbrella here in front as well. Okay, and there's figures, smaller figures that are just in the distance, and keeping them loose, nice and loose like this. And again, these will form little downwards reflections later. Okay, so we've got a head of a figure there. Just putting it in that side of the figure. There's a leg. There's another leg here. Okay, we get something going on later on. Okay, we've got some more figures. There's another umbrella. These umbrellas just all in the distance. This one I thought I'd do a bit heavier. There's another one there. Just umbrellas, and you've got people, underneath them and just walking. As you can see, just simple figures like that. I always draw the heads in first, and then I'll get the legs in afterwards, and make sure the heads line up roughly in the same spot on the horizon line there. Okay, you've got all bits and pieces running through here. You've even got a road here, and on the road you've got cars, of course. So I can get myself in a few cars and just make it up. I know this car here isn't really here at the front, but I'm going to just put it in anyway. Okay, that's a car. Looks like a car, doesn't it? There. And the back of them, they just start becoming squarish sort of shapes like that. That can be a road off there in the distance. And, more umbrellas and perhaps figures. Might get another figure in here, just in the foreground, like this, or coming near to the foreground anyway, and umbrella like that over the top. Just simplify that umbrella a little bit, so, like that. These are bus stops or something like that. It doesn't matter, just little squares of something. And you can see like kind of these traffic poles and things just rising up and disappearing off into the side, and having a few of these are actually really good in there. Okay, now my main thing I want to focus on at the moment is now these buildings, especially this one in the distance. So I'm going to just detail this out a little bit more. Okay, like that. Give it a bit more of a bit more shape and accuracy. Okay. Really, again, it's no huge deal. It's just trying to get in an indication of that building here in the background, because this is all just going to be mostly a silhouette anyway. I'm going to color this all in the same wash or so. Okay, but little bits and pieces are going to help. You know, this little bit of the building kind of pops off like that, and then you've got a little one that comes down like that. You know, even here you've got like a part of the building that comes out here, there and there, like that, like that. You know, part of that building. It's interesting because the shadows again, it's not so apparent. You can just see the light in the sky essentially. A lot of the light in the sky, and it kind of reflected down into the ground. So let's go ahead and start with the painting. I'm going to firstly pick up this larger brush. It's a goat hair brush. Okay. And let's start with some warm colors. Um, go. I'll go with a touch of a little bit of yellow. I don't want to make it too vibrant, so I'm using yellow ochre for this building here. Look how loose I'm keeping this as well, yeah? You really want to make sure this wash is, mostly just water. I'm using probably 10% paint, 10 to 20% paint maximum in here. Just popping that through. I'm having a look, see what else we've got. We've got a bit of brown here. I thought we could pick up a tiny bit of this brown and drop that in there. A little bit. Unfortunately, I think there's a tiny bit of green in there that I've accidentally mixed into that brown. So, but mostly it is that brownish color. And I'm going through and just adding in. Look at that, just that little bit of warmth into the buildings, into the background. Look at that, cutting around the figures and keeping it nice and wet. Look how quickly you can get in those buildings just with a few little brush strokes. Don't need much in there at all. And don't be afraid also to leave some areas of white. It just helps create some highlights where you might need extra attention later on. Here we go. There's a bit more vibrancy here on that right hand side. I'm just dropping in a bit of color, a little bit more of that there. Okay. And I love this brush. It just forces me to get all those details in with the least amount of fuss and without overthinking things, because this initial wash is just a simple wash of colors. We're not getting in any details at all, just quite abstract, I suppose, at the moment. So this whole set of buildings here on the left as well, as you can see, very, very subtle. We're going to get in another wash afterwards, and I want this lovely warm color in the back to show through. Okay, let's have a look here. Bit there, that's there, there. Bit there. It's really just a large building, and I put a bit of brown in here too. Brown ochre. Yellow ochre, brown ochre. It's just some warm color, really. Yep. And cutting around those umbrellas and the figures as well. Okay. Like that. I'm going to go into the sky a little. And I'm going to get in a wash of hopefully some little grey, a little bit of greyish color. Maybe a little purple mixed in there. Let's have a look at that. There we go. That's a nice sort of greyish color. Like that. And drop in some more of that grey. And, sometimes helps to actually wet the area a little first. I'm not too worried really about how this mixes around and that kind of thing, but keep keep a little bit of space between the buildings. See a tiny little bit of white on near the buildings. That helps. This is just a bit of grey that I've got in the palette. You can mix this up yourself from using the leftover paints on the palette. So often I've got a bit of, of my primaries, yellow, blue, and red, and I just mix them together. Okay, look at that. Just drop in that water, let it do its thing, and at points I'll let it blend with the building, but at other points I'll just let it sit and do its own thing. Here, a bit more of this darker cloud. I'm making the sky look probably more moody than it actually is in the reference photo. Okay, but I want to make sure I'm not touching it too much. Just a few subtle brush strokes like that will do the trick. Okay. All right. Okay. That should be good for the sky. I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and carry this wash down now. I'm going to use a larger mop brush and really just make the bottom of the pavement a kind of grayish color, maybe with a touch of yellow in there as well. Okay, just to mirror the sky, the buildings, sorry, a little bit. So, cutting around some of the figures and what have you, and that, look at that, and just dropping in this color, just really just gray. Again, that I've picked up from the palette, and dropping that in. Pick up a bit of purple and put that in there as well. Look at that. Just cut around the umbrellas, cut around the figures, the heads of the figures like that. The body. Okay. If you color in the legs, it's no big deal. And here we have it, just starting to move downwards, this grayish color like that. And drag this all the way down. I'm using quite a large mop brush, and that helps certainly to get in this wash without too much fuss at all. Okay, and it's important to keep this wash pretty light as well, very light, like that. Maybe we can get us some yellow in there as well, just something that. Can we get in a bit of this? Just flicking a bit of this paint like that. Just dab a bit of that off. Some of it's gone into the sky. I just want to create some little inconsistencies in areas while I can. Good. Okay. So what I'll do now is we are going to start working a bit on basically the buildings in the background. So we're going to get pretty much that large wash of the buildings there, and then we're going to go back in and do the shadows of the figures and a bit of the detail on the figures. Okay, but I think what works well firstly is just to get in a light wash of some sort of color for the figures, just a bit of darkness, and these figures do need to be fairly dark as well. So I'm getting a bit of purple here for this one, okay, on the left, and then the one on the right I'm just just getting in a bit of that green color. Okay, just a bit of this purple for the one on the left. Let's go for the one on the right, some more brown maybe here, like that. Okay, something like that. Just a little color, little dab of color. You got these ones here walking around in the background as well, a little splash of color there. It doesn't matter so much what color you add in there, but what I want to do is just make sure that there is a bit of darkness for those figures. You know, you've got a bit of these cars as well. Maybe the windscreen is darkened like that. Okay, just a little bit of that, a little bit of that windscreen. Afterwards, I'll get in the bottom of it better. Okay. How about the umbrellas? You know, yeah, I can put in a bit of color for the umbrellas too. Okay. Just a light wash of something. Right. Great. So I'll give this a quick dry.